we're just going to send it. I'm here to announce that I'm going to start this, well, I'm going to restart this YouTube channel. I used to post a lot of like book content on here. You can go back into the archives if you want, but it's a bit cringe. That was from a few years ago. It was the beginning of my like online presence, I guess. Like that's when I really started. I was like, I'm going to do something with this. I'm about to go into a degree doing social media. I'm going to do something with this degree. I want to like branch out on my own. So I started posting book content, and then that navigated into me posting a lot on Instagram and then building an entire business from that. And I'm just now this week, the last few days, I have made a huge business investment into the growth and scaling of my business into a company, into an agency for social media. And I want to bring you guys along. So I've decided that this is going to be like, we're going to mark this as the like bottom of the mountain. We're about to start climbing, and I'm so keen to like journal this in a way, digitally journal it for you guys and for myself to look back on in years time and like see where I've come from. So this is just going to be a super raw video pretty much of me just yapping a little bit. I want to introduce you guys to myself, who I am, what I do, what my goals are, why I don't just see myself kind of wrapping things up at UGC, because I'm a UGC creator, user-generated content, meaning that I create content for brands to use across their advertisements. And it's been a really fun like 6 to 12 months doing that. But I feel as though I'm built for more than that. I want to create like something that I can leave behind, a legacy, a company, and have employees and all that kind of stuff. And it sounds so crazy like saying that out loud. But anyway, this is like going to be my business journal, basically, this YouTube channel. It's going to be super raw. Most of the videos will probably just be vlogging my day in the life, like literally just showing you what I do every day, what my goals are going to look like, and how I'm kind of taking those steps. I'm not going to share every single detail because some stuff is quite confidential, like in that growth, because obviously I just feel as though you can't share everything with everyone as you're doing it. It's good to reflect back on, but I might have to vlog some stuff and then post it after those things have been done rather than during, because I don't want to give myself the satisfaction as well of talking about something that I haven't done yet. So that's why we're going to be talking a lot about the past, what I've been doing, how I've set my foundations up, what I'm looking forward to, and my goals, but not necessarily the actions I'm taking in real time, if that makes sense. One thing I do want to touch on is that I've always been super transparent about like money and figures online. You can go back into my Instagram and you can find that kind of stuff. But from here on out, I'm not going to be talking about that. This year as a sole trader, I have doubled and a half the income that I was aiming to have by the end of the year. Like for a month, I had set a goal of how much I wanted to make in a month. And now every month is above that amount. And this last month was insane. It was the most crazy month of my life. And I'm so proud of myself. And I feel like that was a real success in my books and was the moment where I realized I need to make this bigger than myself, because I can't juggle it all. I can't handle it all on my own if I'm wanting to scale. So that's why I'm taking the next steps that I'll talk about later. But yeah, I've decided that those figures now are kind of personal. It is a lot more than most people probably can fathom. I can't fathom. And I like say that in a way that I just want to be transparent. Basically, I just want to tell you, like, that's why I'm not talking about it anymore, because it's not just like a regular, it's not going to, from here on out, my goal is for it to not be a regular income. It is going to be a lot more than that. And I feel as though there are things that have proven to me recently that I can't openly talk about that online. And I probably shouldn't as well. So this month has been absolutely huge through UGC and social media management, which are the two like paths that I have been taking. You can go see my journey on my Instagram account. I'll try and link it below. I don't know, this video is going to be very raw, so I'm probably not going to have captions or anything like that. I literally don't have the time to be editing stuff like this right now. So I'm wanting to do this simply to track things and to be able to reflect and look back at the raw footage, but not so much to like have fancy edits or gain like a huge following. Anyway, we're going to go back to the very beginning of my journey and kind of talk my way through that. This might be a bit of a long video, but if you're interested, stick around. If you're wanting to do something like this, stick around. If you're wanting to learn a little bit, stick around. And if you are a driven and passionate person, stick around. I was in high school and I graduated in 2022. I am 21 years old. And I loved my media classes. I loved my Viscom classes. They were my absolute favorites. I was doing my SATs, which is in Australia like a huge massive project that you do all throughout your year 12 experience, and you get graded on that, and that is majority. I think it was 60% of your whole grade basically. And for both my media SAT and my Viscom SAT, I got an A+, which was like the highest in the class, or one of the highest in the class, which I was so excited about. I was like, yes, this is amazing. This means that I'm passionate about something and I'm good at that thing as well. So that was a real driving force for me to like go into media. I also knew there were just so many opportunities. I used to work at a cafe, and I remember like finding out how much the person who ran the social media accounts how much money the social media account person made, like just through doing social media management. And I was like, oh my God, like they made so much money. Right now in hindsight, they weren't actually charging like anything insane. But at the time, on a $15 an hour wage, like that seemed crazy to me. And I was like, this is so good. I can literally make a living off of doing social media. If I just manage like 2 or 3 different clients, I'll be A-okay. Like that was my first like recollection of me being like, I can turn this into something. Everybody needs social media. Like a cafe I've worked with now, auction houses, vintage shops, like food places, like massage places, like accommodation, travel, apps, technology, literally anything you can think of will require social media support. We're in 2026. If they want to succeed in their marketing, they will need social media support. I literally read yesterday, I'm pretty sure it said that the UGC space is worth $30 billion. That is insane. Like there is so much money out there for UGC creators alone, and that's not even involving social media management and all the other steps that are involved in having a job like this. So at this point in time, it was 2023, I quit my job at the cafe. I traveled around Australia, traveled around New Zealand. I love traveling, and I was like, this is going to be my calling. I can make social media management my job. I can do a majority online, and I can travel. That was literally all I wanted to do. I can work with accommodation places, suitcase companies, SIM cards, all these things. And I was so passionate and driven to make a lifestyle where I could have the freedom to not be in one place. I wanted to go and experience living in other countries and traveling around other countries, road tripping around Australia in a van. Like that was literally like the whole motivation behind this kind of career. I didn't want to be sat behind a desk, right? All day, every day. Okay, so next up is that my year 12 media teacher was super inspiring to me. I found out like what uni she went to, and I was like, oh, that's cool, maybe I could go there as well. And then I was doing year 12 media while I was in year 11 because I had been put in the advanced program. So the people who I was friends with in year 12, they had all gone off to university while I was doing my year 12 for my other subjects, if that makes sense. And one of them, she said to me like, I've gone to this university and I've done this degree and it's actually really good. Like, I think that you would love it. And I was like, oh, sick, that sounds amazing. It was a media and communications degree at Swinburne University. I can say that now because I'm no longer a student there. But yeah, Swinburne University. And I decided, you know what, that sounds freaking insane. I was looking into like psychology of marketing, which wasn't like, it was too much science for me. And I didn't do very well in psych at school as much as I loved it and wanted to do well. I did not do well. I was like, psych of marketing's not for me. Then I was looking into marketing, advertising at like Monash and Melbourne and all these different places, whatever I could that seemed like prestigious and that seemed like, you know, like marketing's a real career and advertising's a real career. And then this friend of mine said about Swinburne, and I was like, Swinburne, oh, that's so low key. That's so cool. It's on Glenferrie Road, so much food, so many cool places. It's very like open with the types of people that you're going to meet, like are such a range. There is so many incredible, beautiful human beings, and they all come from different places, different walks of life, and you become a very open-minded person being at Swinburne, and I loved it so much. So I would highly recommend doing this degree if you are looking to get into social media, though I do not think you need a degree to do the job that I'm doing whatsoever. It did help me get like a leg up. When I started UGC, I decided not to go with a mentor or not to get a coach because I thought, you know what, I've paid 60 grand in HECS debt, like let me use that to actually like prove to myself that it was worth it, which it did support me. So at this point, I started looking into it. I was like, that's my number one preference. I'm getting into that degree. It literally needs a 68 so I smashed it out the park. I didn't need to try like as hard in year 12, which I did try very hard and I got a much better ATAR than that, but I didn't need to like be so like crippling with stress, which was amazing because it left me with the ability to work 3 different jobs while I was doing year 12, and I could save up a lot of money, and I bought my first car and I traveled as soon as I finished year 12. So I was really grateful for the fact that I only needed to get a 60 ATAR, and I knew that I was able to do that without putting in like so much effort, because it left me with that ability to actually save up money so that when I turned 18, I had the freedom to go and do these things that I wanted. Whereas I know a lot of other people who were aiming for like 90 and above ATARs weren't even able to work in year 12 because they just had so much stress. I was able to do the leadership program as well, which was amazing, and just so many other extracurricular activities. So that all set me up in the right direction. I got accepted at Swinburne University and I did a 3-year degree majoring in social media and creative writing and literature. Though I did end up dropping that at like the last I think I had like 1 or 2 units left and I was like, I cannot be bothered doing this. I did not enjoy it that much. And also it would have taken me into the next year. So I would not have graduated for an extra 6 months. And at this point in time when I dropped that, I was like, there was a ball rolling in my personal business life. And I was just like not ready to drop that ball to finish this part of the degree. I was like, nah, screw that. I'm on a roll with my business. Let me just keep going with that. So I did the 3 years of uni at Swinburne Uni. It was amazing, great time in my life, but I was so ready for it to be over by the end of it because I had started UGC in my last year of uni, and I could see where it was going. I could see how much money you could make in the space if you put in the time and effort. I think it's important to note that during mainly my second year of uni, I had a job as a media coordinator at a basketball association. So I actually learned a lot of like real important skills at that point in my life. Like I did not understand a lot of like basic things like emails. Didn't really understand that. I didn't understand how like Google Drives worked and Dropboxes and how those kind of systems all worked, Excel spreadsheets. And I was very grateful that my boss at the time was very, very helpful and would actually set aside time to teach me these things and like answer any questions that I had. Towards the end, it just was not doing it for me. I was working like longer hours than I wanted to. Basketball, you've got to like be able to go to things on the weekend, and on the weekends I also worked another job for the whole of Saturday, and then I was meant to be going to like basketball games on the Sunday as well to like film and get content, and I honestly I needed to study. I was like not going well in my classes because I was putting so much of my effort into my job because I wanted to prove myself and I wanted to like be able to make this into a career, right? It was a fantastic opportunity and I learned so much, especially about like being professional in an environment. I look back at things and I'm like, oh my God, why did I do that? Like, you know, and you just cringe because you were so young and you just didn't like think about things properly. But it definitely built those foundations for me. And when I quit that job, it was quite abrupt. I was not in a great place mentally. There were a few other things that had happened. My nana had just passed away, which is like my dad's mum. And that honestly had like a huge mental toll on me at that time as well. And then there were a few things going on within the workplace that also just were like stressing me out. Uni was stressing me out. There was so much happening. And I very abruptly quit that job and was like, nah, I can't do this anymore. My mental health is going down the drain. I'd had to start talking to a therapist as well, which to me signaled like, holy shit, Charlie, because I had never ever felt like mentally the way that I felt during that job, like so anxious, so exhausted, so like confused about like what my direction is and like what the right choices are and stuff like that. So it was at that point that I quit, and then I literally went into panic mode. I was like, oh my God, I only have one weekend job. Like I'm not going to be making enough money. My parents were like, it's okay, just focus on uni. We will support you. We will help you however you need. They're the best people ever. And then I was like, no, I literally can't. Like I need to be working. If there's one thing about me, I just need to be working. That's when I started doing a bit of research. I went into like this huge rabbit hole into so many different avenues, talking about like social media management, accommodation and travel, like social media. I started applying for jobs at like different flight agencies to be like their social media person. I was trying so hard to find a job, and then I saw all these mentorships and courses popping up for UGC, and I was like, oh no, I'm not doing that. Like, I don't know, that doesn't sit right with me if I've already paid for a degree. Like, I need to use my degree. And then my brother's girlfriend, she said to me, she was like, oh, I've heard of this thing called UGC. Have you ever heard of it? And I was like, oh, not really. Like, I'd kind of heard of it. But not like, I hadn't like looked into it properly. She was like, I think you can make like good money from it. I was like, oh, interesting. Like, I thought it was just like a side hustle thing. I'm pretty sure at the time, like that's my perception on it, was very much just like, you know, just random like $50 here and there kind of thing. And so I was like, all right, I'll look into it. So I started looking into it, and I was like, holy shit, this is what I'm going to do. Like, this sounds so sick. So that then like basically just like threw me into that industry. I set up like my separate Instagram account for it, and I started making content around UGC, and I started meeting other creators and all that kind of stuff. I started applying to jobs, on the Right Fit platform, which was like a huge support in me getting my first ever paid jobs. They were very low paying. They were like $150, $200 per collab, which now in hindsight, like I get paid sometimes like $2,000, $3,000 for a collab. So that was very, very low at the time. That was very low in hindsight, but at the time that was a lot of money. I was like, holy shit. Also, I wasn't a great creator at the time, because how can you be without practice? So it was a great place to start. I started getting a few different ones, and I was like, this is it. This is my life now, you know? And I started really looking up to people in the space and admiring them. And I thought, you know what, if they can do it, I can do it. Sorry, the sun has just like come out and made everything look very yellow. But I was so excited. And then I started basically just throwing myself into that. It was doing very well. Like, I was probably making a good consistent 3 to 5K per month at this point, which at the time felt like a lot of money, because in my old job, I was making, I think like $2,000 a month. So for me to go from that to then earning like $3,000 to $5,000, making it on my own in my own time, I was like, holy shit, I'm still doing uni. This is amazing. So I was really hyped. Obviously, that's all before tax as well and all that kind of stuff. These are things that I will be open about, like how much I was making at the beginning. Literally my first month, I made 3.5K, which is like a crazy first month, but I was just like ready to send it, you know? Anyway, fast forward basically to the end of 2025, I went to Japan, and I had like the best time away. And I feel like I came back with so much more like creativity within me. I was excited because I just finished uni, like I graduated university. I was so hyped. I'm like, this is the beginning of it all. And so I started really being able to work properly after that trip to Japan. I was putting in like full-time hours, and still am putting in full-time hours. And it's kind of just been this whole process from then to now, where it just was growing and growing and growing. I've tried so many different things within this space. Like, I've tried social media management. I'm doing a bit of affiliate stuff at the moment that I'm working on. I'm working on UGC, influencer stuff as well. Just even supporting brands with content strategies and plans, and like photo days and filming days, like editing support. Like, I have put my foot in every single place that I can, and I have learned so much and grown so much as a person, as a creator, as a business owner. It's a lot of curves. Like, owning your own business is insane, because the amount of like troubleshooting you have to do, and the amount of problem solving and learning you have to like absorb is crazy, and it excites me so much. Like, it is my favorite thing ever, is like solving problems and feeling satisfied. So after uni, it all just started taking off, and I was making a really nice amount of money, working a really nice amount, and it felt very fulfilling, and I felt very satisfied. And then it got to this point where there was just too much work coming in. My personal brand, had really taken off. I've gained about 12,000 followers, which was fantastic. I still want a lot more followers than that. I don't feel like that is like anything crazy. Like, I do want to kind of branch that into more of an influencing space. I'm trying to work on that currently, like doing more personal branding rather than like business focused content. And I've really leaned into like the interior design space, which like made me have loads of interior design collabs, which is really, really exciting. But it definitely wasn't the one direction I wanted to go in. Like I want multiple different niches and areas. So I need to start like kind of refining my personal brand. That's what I'm working on in the background right now. Yeah, that took off. Then I was getting loads of collabs, and then this month has just been insane. I work so hard every single day. And it feels like I have really felt fulfilled this month. I feel like my hard work has really paid off. And because I made a really nice amount of money, I was able to reinvest that into my business. So this is where we're up to right now, where I have invested in basically scaling my business, which we spoke about at the beginning. But I've spoken to somebody who is really good at scaling businesses, and we're going to work together. And that is the journey that I'm going to want to track with you guys, because as I mentioned earlier, my initial goal with this whole career was having the freedom to travel, having the freedom to like do what I wanted to do. And it feels as though I'm almost trapped in another bubble right now where I have to work every single day. Like I wake up at 7, I go to the gym, I start working, and then I literally get to bed at like 11 o'clock because I've been working all day. This past week has been beautiful. I've hired a virtual assistant, and I have literally like paused a lot of the work that I've got and said I'm going to do it in the following month because I just needed break. I needed rest. I needed to do some stuff for myself. I'm kind of in like a really nice period of reflection, reflecting on how everything has been and what I'm looking forward to in the future, and trying to like really ideate what I want this business to turn into, because I don't want to have to be the one that is like reliant on within my business. I want employees. I want other people to be able to take on some of those roles and tasks, because I do really want to be able to work from other countries and still help and manage clients here in Australia and here in Melbourne. And I just think that I am so driven to make this like much bigger than myself, because I think my eyes have been opened up to like how much is possible. My brother and my partner both are in e-commerce space, and I've seen through them like how much is possible within this kind of world that we've been handed recently with social media and the access to it and the ability to actually like be your own boss. And it has made me really, really, really driven to make more money, and not just for the sake of having money. Like I don't care about like fancy cars and fancy watches and all that kind of stuff, but genuinely I've been through so many health things this year. I'm lucky enough to have my parents support me, but like one of my surgeries is, I'm not going to even say how much it was, but it was freaking expensive, right? And that's just one surgery. Then I've had like so many scans on top of that, doctor's appointments and consultations. It is like thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that you can't just pull out of your bum, you know? Like you have to have that money set aside. And for me, that was a bit of a jump scare. I was like, oh my God, like, imagine if you're going through health problems and then you get into a car accident and then you need to send kids to school and you need to pay for food, and all these like realities of life started hitting me. And I was like, I want money not to be like fuck off rich, but I want money so that I can live a life that I want to live and be able to support my children in the way that they need without feeling the burden and the pressures of finances, basically. So that's a bit of like a story as to why I do really want to have financial freedom. I want to be able to travel to wherever I want. I want to be able to do whatever I want. And also, I really, really hope and want and can see this for myself, that in the next 5 years, my business will have grown to an amazing point where I can step away, look after children that I might have in my late 20s, and then I can like manage. I would love to like manage things around a house. I would love to cook, and I would love to clean, and I would love to spend my days doing that kind of stuff, taking care of my children and like taking them for walks and going to activities and doing that stuff. But if I am so locked into doing UGC and content creation the way that I'm doing it now, if I just stay in this same space because it's good enough and I'm happy and I'm making more than your average person would be making, especially at my age, then I will feel like good, but I will not feel satisfied. Like I need to get to a point where I can like have a business up here working while I'm off doing my things, but I'm still making income from that business. Like that is the goal. I want a legacy. I want something to reflect on and be proud of. I want to be a founder of something. I want it to grow bigger than I can even imagine. And I have a very good imagination. So that is saying a lot. But yeah, that is my story. I hope that if you stuck around for all of this, literally love you. Please comment below or send me a message or something. Ask me any questions. I really, really want to like just talk openly on here about things in the way that I can and bring you guys along for my journey, because we're about to start climbing the mountain. We're about to start scaling. We're about to start turning into an agency. We are about to do so many things. And I want to talk about all of that. I want to talk about how you can get started being a creator or an entrepreneur or whatever it is that you want. I want to answer all your questions. So literally like flood me with questions, because I will answer all of them in like long form content like this that I've never been able to do before. I've only ever been able to support you in like a minute video. Now I can sit in front of the camera for 40 minutes. I can sit in front of the camera for an hour if you want, and I can explain this stuff to you, because I want, if you are driven enough and passionate enough to make it work, and you're willing to sit and listen to somebody yap without like the stimulus of having like crazy edits, captions, anything, then you deserve it, because a lot of people literally can't even get through that first step of listening to an entire video like this of somebody explaining how they've done something and how they've built success. So if you could do that, then you obviously have the drive and determination to make something of yourself. And I'm all here to support that. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you go follow me on Instagram. There will be more current updates on my channel, which is like attached in my Instagram bio. I talk about like loads of content creation tips and tricks like in that channel. But then on my actual Instagram account, I'm trying not to talk content creation as much. And that is why I've made this. So I can just yap about it and feel like I'm getting that part of me out and have it journaled digitally and be able to also support the people who still want that kind of info from me, I guess. But yeah, I'm so excited. This will be a great new start to a journey. And thank you for coming along.